Good evening, everyone. Let me get the computer up here. We're going to go over the ICS 202. If I can get there we go. Got it. Get the ICS 202 form. So what this is this helps you set your blueprint for what you want to do for an operational period. So your incident name, our big incident was the tornado. You want to know when your operational period is because you can develop these several days ahead of time, the basics, and then finalize them like the day before. So you want to have your operational time and your date on here so it's listed, because this also becomes a legal document in anything that you do regarding this incident. As far as your objectives, you want to make sure you have your objectives listed. Those could be, your objectives for communication, your resources, assets, your safety and security, your staff responsibilities, your support activities, and patient and support activities, stuff like that. So this is important for the basic ideas of your objectives. What do you want to accomplish in this operational period is what we need to have here. And then the goal for the people functioning in this operational period is to complete everything in this objective, so that way it can, you can have it done. We move down, your command emphasis. What's your command structure? So it's going to change every operational period because we got to have time to eat, sleep, rejuvenate, come up with new objectives. So your command operational emphasis is going to change. So we need to make sure that we're aware of who's in control and what category or what capacity, so we're able to have this documented and everybody knows who they need to go to for any questions or problems that may happen. General situational awareness. Like I said, for our incident, the tornado was down power lines. We had to be careful. They still could be live lines. 3 days after the tornado, we got 3 inches of snow. So, we had to worry about slips, trips, and falls, and roads being slick, and all that kind of stuff. So you got to have a good general situational awareness that is fluent. It's going to change from time to time. And then you want to have a safety site plan approved by your safety officer, so that way it's complete and everybody understands what it is and what's expected of them. And they also have the proper safety equipment that's going to be required whatever you're doing for this incident. So we got to make sure that all that is completed and there's no questions as to what we expect of you, where to go to get your answers, and then we want to make sure we do it in a safe manner. So it's pretty straightforward on this form. And again, don't forget, any of these ICS forms are legal documents, so we want to keep them, use them, make a lot of copies when you do an operational briefing period. So anybody who has any questions about what they're expected to do, it's done. And then, this is not a secret document. Get it out so everybody can see it, so everybody knows what everybody else is expected to do. So pretty straightforward on that. Let me see, 203 form. Again, this is your organization assignment list. This is basically telling you the who's who of who's responsible for what. If you have an IMT, incident commander, or unified command, you want to list all those people in the upper, in that box number 3. Again, your incident name, your operational period is going to be the same for, 1 day's activities. Want to list, who's the deputy incident commander, safety, public information officer, which is huge because if you have a large scale incident, news crews are going to be there, and that public information officer is very vital to, like they said, you want to get the information out that you want to put out. You don't feed the news crews; they're going to make up their own stories, and you don't want that. You want to give them good, consistent, truthful information, and then present it in the way that you want to present it, and that's very important. And then also you want to have a liaison officer be able to, kind of go between all the agencies to be able to, figure all this stuff out. The agency organization name is, what is going to be your lead agency? What's your organizational chart? So if you have any questions about who you need to contact, names on here, and we always put a cell phone number so we were able to contact that person directly, or on a communication plan know where to contact them via radio, what channel, so we were able to control our communication as best we could. Planning section, chief, have a deputy chief. That's where you're going to get your resources unit, your situational unit, documentation, and that's probably one of the biggest things that we need to do, is document everything that happens. That way we've got a good solid plan. We can review it in a hot wash, and we can understand what we got to do to make this better if the situation happens again. Demobilization and technical specialists, we need also, any of those specialties that are going to be there. Again, they've got to be listed so we're able to contact them and use their resources as designated or what we need. Logistics section chief, got to have a chief for the logistics section. You have a support branch where you're going to worry about your supplies, your facilities, and your ground support stuff. Like where are people going to eat, go to the restroom, restock their supplies, whatever they need to do. So all this stuff needs to be planned out. So we know how we're going to handle this whole incident. Service branch, use your communications and medical unit, and then you may have somebody assigned just strictly for food. So it's one of those things those are the support stuff that's really important that makes any incident work. If we go back up to the top on the right hand side, operations section chief, that's the guy who's responsible for all the tasks and objectives that are going to get done during the day. So we want to make sure that operations section chief is ready to answer those questions, and we'll handle a lot of that in the briefing, but there's inevitably going to be questions that's going to come up during the day with the incident, and we need to be able to have this guy readily available so we can determine how we're going to handle each of those situations. And then you got different branches depending upon your incident. Maybe like for our tornado, we had a branch for debris removal, we had a branch for utilities, so we had a lot of different things that were going on with our incident. But we want to identify again the key players in those different branches, so that way we are able to contact them. They can contact command or anybody else they need if they need a command level decision, or they may need more logistics planning, or something may not be working out where they need to contact somebody to make this work. So again, finance, eventually at some point somebody's going to want to know what it's going to cost. You got to worry about the total finances. Usually like on our big incident the first night, they weren't worried about what it costs. We want to get people rescued, we want to save people, and we want to start stabilizing this incident. But at some point they're going to go, all right, how much is this going to cost us? And you've got to have a good tracking of each piece of equipment for possible reimbursement, either through the state or to a federal level, depending upon the type of incident you got. So the finance and administration is very important, because that's where you're going to get reimbursed if you have some type of declaration of emergency. So that way we can, keep the bean counters happy, because we're doing our due diligence to get reimbursed for everything we can and are entitled to from this, from these types of emergencies. Again, the organizational assignment list, here's your purpose. Information on the units are currently activated, the names of the personnel, staffing in each position. That's really what we're looking for. So if we need to contact anybody, we're able to do that. Not all positions are going to be filled every time. It's incident driven, or depending upon the scale of the incident. We may not fill every single one, but there are times that you may have to fill every single one. So this gives you a good guideline and step on how to do this. So I'll let you read through some of this here. I don't think I really need to read this to you. But, this 203 serves as part of the IAP. So that whole incident action plan is a package. And when you get done, when you get your IAP done, again, this is, not a secret document. You want to get it out to everybody so everybody understands what's expected of them, where they fall in the organizational tree to be able to, complete the tasks that are needed. Again, so this tells you about the blocks and what we're expected for each one of those. And these forms are, available on any ICS form, you can, search on the internet ICS 203, and a lot of this information could be presented and found. So that way it's not really a guessing game on how to do this stuff. So let me jump to the 204. Again, you want to have your incident name on here, operational period, any groups, divisions, or branches that you're going to have. We're going to list those out. Your operations personnel, who's the person that's going to be your operations sections chief or whatever branch, division, or group that you're functioning in. Your resource identifier, you want to know who your leaders are, how many people they're going to be responsible for, and the best way to contact them, whether it's going to be phone, pager, radio, or however you're going to use your communication. You're going to have them report, locate any special equipment, supplies, remarks, notes, and information. So this tells you what your actual assignment is. This is what your operations chief is going to use to say, hey, this is what, this is our leaders, this is what we're going to use. And then your work assignments, what's your task for the day? What do we expect for you to get done in this 12-hour typically operational period that we're going to have? So it's important to have this document filled out so that your operations section leader knows exactly what's expected of him, and make sure that he can complete his task in a timely fashion. Any special instructions may need to be should be listed on here also. Again, we're wanting to talk about, you might mission safety, or you might need chainsaws or whatever special instructions that you may need, again, to complete your task. So all this needs to be filled out in a correct manner so everybody understands what they're doing, and you're going to review this with your team prior to starting the operational period so everybody knows what's expected of them. Again, having a communications plan is very important, because on your communication, you're going to know, you can only allow so many people on certain frequencies so you are able to talk. If you get too many people bogged down on one channel, you're not going to be able to complete your task, because you're going to be waiting to talk and not have a good group. So, we had our 911 coordinator do our communications plan for us, and she did a great job as far as assigning people in manageable groups or size of groups that left plenty of time on the airway for people to talk if they needed to. So that way we could complete our task, via radio, when we were using this during the tornado. So it worked out well for us. So again, here's some more of the listing of the assignment list. Again, these sources or these forms are out there on the internet, so anybody can have those and use those. I mean, it's not any type of secret, but if you haven't been in any of these types of incident command classes, it would be your best interest to get this done, so that you can have an idea of what you're doing before you get to this type of scenario where you're going to need them. We have a very robust incident management team in this area, and we had knowledge. We've all been command and general staff. A lot of us have, and that training is invaluable. Part of our kudos for our tornado response is that once we had the tornado, our street department superintendent at the time was like, you know what, this was easy because we'd done our tabletop exercises on debris removal, and they already had all the bugs worked out, and it went well. And that is very important. You got to include, sometimes this training is dry and not very exciting. We get that, but the content of it's very important for you to be able to get the outcome, because if you've done this stuff before in a practice scenario, when the real deal comes, I'm sure makes it a whole lot easier. So that's going to wrap up our class. We're not really going to do a whole exercise on the incident. We just want to cover these 202, 203, and 204 forms to make sure that we're able to, you guys get a little bit of an understanding. But the key, like Kevin said, is you got to train. You got to train together. You've got to go over these forms and understand how they operate, what their function is, to be able to use these in a proper manner when that day comes. Because we never thought in the middle of December we were going to have an EF3 tornado go through the middle of our town. and it did. But we were pretty well ready for it. I mean, there's always things you can do better, but overall, we did well on the response, and we were very, very lucky we didn't have any fatalities, and it worked out well for us. So I think I'm going to turn this over to Joe to kind of wrap the class up.